Two steps forward, one step back. It's something we're all trying to avoid a costly rework when you're building your garage. Today's episode is all about mounting and blocking of heavy appliances. And before you get wall finishing up, you want to make sure that those products are properly supported. You've probably seen these hose combination electric and hose reels in my garage for quite some time now. We're going to be talking about how to properly plan, depending on your finished wall covering, for mounting heavy appliances such as these or a pressure washer or even a TV in your garage. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Detached Garage. Today we are talking about mounting and blocking of appliances. Not the most glamorous topic, but a very necessary one to make sure your heavy equipment that you're mounting on the walls has proper support, and so you don't have to redo what you've already done. So we've got drywall on a portion of the garage here, and then we've purposely left the rest of the garage open because we weren't sure exactly where we were going to mount appliances. I talk about this in a previous episode of building in stages, and specifically how, if you're not quite sure on your design and you want to get in the space and kind of see what it feels like and visualize and try to figure out where exactly things are going to go before you finish it and put wall coverings up, the finished walls. So I talk about that in a previous episode. I'll link it up here. So go watch that and then come back. But today's episode, we're talking about how to properly mount things on the wall. And so with this wall covering that we've got up here, you can see this outlet up here is purposely put there for one of these hose reels. Then on the exact opposite wall over here, I've got another outlet. So today we're going to work on putting blocking up and how to figure out what blocking you actually need. Certainly, as you know, this channel, we're going to go a little bit overkill, but we're going to talk through the different types of wall coverings and figure out what you need specifically for your equipment that you're mounting. And then we're going to talk through how to do it. And we're actually going to mount some of these hose reels. And it's a good thing we have the scissor lift because those things are heavy, and it's going to make putting those on the wall much easier. So let's flip the camera around and start talking about what you need to think about before you start the blocking process. So what is blocking and why do you need it? Well, blocking is a support piece of wood or structure behind a heavy appliance. You can see right here, we've got our TV mount on the outdoor portion here. And even though this is going right into OSB, we wanted some additional support for this TV mount, especially if we have a heavy TV out here. So what we've done is we've screwed this piece of 2x12 into the OSB. We've also done it on a stud here. You can see where the zip tape is. That's where a stud is. And then what we've done is we've actually mounted the TV mount with lag bolts. So when we go inside here and look at the two pieces of equipment that we're trying to mount, the two different hose reels, what's going to happen is we will mount this 2x12 between the trusses. So that is what blocking is. If you just have a piece of drywall up here and it's a 1/2 inch or 5/8, there's not much support for a heavy piece of equipment like one of those, or a TV or a pressure washer or something like that. So you want to put blocking up. You can even see this in like a bathroom where for your toilet paper roll, that you want to put blocking behind that. So when you screw that into the wall, when you're pulling on the toilet paper, it doesn't fall off. So even light appliances like a toilet paper roll, you want to put blocking behind. Super simple for toilet paper. You probably just need a 2x6 or a 2x4 for where you want to put it. With these larger pieces, you need something a little bit more stout. Now, let's talk about the mechanical room area and where we're going to mount this second hose reel up here. Depending on your wall finishing, this is 3/4 inch plywood. So you might be able to get away with just this mounted to the studs, and it spans this gap. Now, you're definitely going to want to use lag bolts on something heavy like those hose reels for support. and there's 4 points of connection on that. So something like this might be okay. It really depends on how much weight and how much belt and suspenders you want to do to help support that weight. If your walls are open like this, lumber is lumber's expensive, but a piece of 2x12 to put back here, even if this is going on top of it as your wall covering, is cheap insurance for the future. But the biggest thing you want to know is, where is it going to go? So what we're going to do is we're going to take the 2x12, we're going to cut it down, and it's either going to go right here or it's going to go right here. And we're going to put it right up against this 8-foot tall fire break, so that even if we miss high or low on where the lag bolts are going into, we get an extra 1.5 inches of meat where we can put that lag bolt into. So let's take a look at the actual hose reels and figure out how long of lag bolts and what type of hardware we're going to need for this install. So I flipped the hose reel on its side, and you can see we have the plate that is actually going to get mounted to the wall. In my hand here, I have the lag bolt that we actually mounted the outdoor TV with. We're going to be a little undersized here for what I would feel comfortable with, because obviously, even with the washer, it moves around quite a bit. So I'm going to get a different size lag bolt to go in here to mount this. But what we're trying to figure out right now is overall thickness. So with this in here, and if we hold up our blocking behind it, you can see that we will go all the way through the blocking, but we also have to account for whether it's a 1/2 inch or 5/8 drywall. So this should be a pretty good length for mounting through once we get the drywall in place, and we just need a little bit thicker and a little bit more stout of a lag bolt for all these. So need to make a run to the hardware store and grab 4 different lag bolts. I'm actually going to take these shipping bolts out and use that as my reference, and we'll go to the hardware store, we'll make a run, and we'll come back. We'll also get a little bit more 2x12 to make sure we've got enough for mounting that. And I also want to do some blocking right here, not necessarily next to the fire break like we're going to do over there, for the TV that's going to go right here for the workout space. So we'll take a look at that as well. All right, guys, so the hardware store run was successful. We've got all the fasteners needed for both of these, as well as the TV mount that's going to go up over there. Now, before we even start cutting that 2x12 that I just bought, we are going to make a CAD version of the template for this. And what is CAD, you might ask? It is cardboard assisted design. So we're going to take this cardboard, we're going to put it up here, we're going to mark and cut and get a template for the mounting of this hose reel. The other thing we're going to do is we're going to measure the diameter of this. And so when we make the template first and then we put it up on the wall over here, then we can get a good representation without holding this 40+ pound hose reel up there by ourselves, trying to figure out where we should go, which side of that stud we should go on. Let's get this CAD going. That was some of the fastest CAD I've ever done. Cardboard aided design, much better than computer aided design. Just kidding. But let's get the scissor lift. Let's get over here. Let's get this template up on the wall and start visualizing where we want to put the hose reel, which side of the stud, and we'll use this to help us determine that. All right, guys, so we have the CAD on the wall, and we have engineered pencils as well to help visualize where this is going to go. So I think what we're going to do is the blocking in this one. I will have some window trim that'll go around, but that can go behind it. Basically, what I'm going to do is this stud is going to be the break between, from here over will be the 3/4 inch plywood, and then from this stud this way all the way around the garage will be drywall over here. So Let's get this blocking. We'll measure the distance for this stud. I think it is a little shorter. This is 16 on center, but with this window here and the support studs, this is a little bit shorter of a gap. So let's measure what this is. We'll pull the insulation out, and then we will look at the size that we need to cut of the 2x12, and then we'll get the 2x12 up here. We'll screw it. We'll get it all taken care of, and then we will start mounting. All right, guys, the blocking fits, and let's get our little template here. So we have plenty of room, a little bit extra to put this wherever we want it. So again, we're eventually going to cover this with drywall. So you want to make sure that the blocking isn't pushed out so it remains flush against the stud. Otherwise, your drywallers are going to be pretty upset at you. So we have the template ready. What we're going to do is we're going to put some screws in from this side, which is why I took this bay out as well. So we are going to use these 3-inch decking screws on the installation of this. So they will have plenty of meat to go through the stud and into our blocking here. I will probably go up as well. So I'll probably remove this bat and get a few going this way. And then I will definitely do one up here going down into this stud and try to get one up here as well. So let's get this screwed in place, and then we can start with the template. All right, guys, so we have all of these screws here. We've got 2 down below, we've got this one, and we've got 1 up top. It's split a little bit up top, but nothing too much to worry about. So I can fold this bat back in, and then I'll get some of the bats that I threw on the ground, and we will make sure we get some insulation back here, and then get it all the way back up to the top again. So once the insulation is set, then we will get our template here and get this put in place, and we will mark the holes specifically for where this is going to sit. So you see the bottom has slots. So those are the 2 critical holes. We will get those placed first and make sure they are level. And then from there, we will pre-drill the holes on top so that we can get the bolts in place hand tight, and then use a wrench to tighten them, because these you need either a right angle drill or whatever to kind of get behind that. So we'll pre-drill these in a smaller drill size, and the lag bolts will fit in place hand tight so that we can set it up here, have one hand holding the unit itself while we hand tighten these with a wrench. All right, guys, so we've got these 2 bolts in. There's a little space in there so we can lift the unit and set it on these. So let's go grab the reel. We'll put it on the scissor lift. I'll set this up on time lapse again, and then we will get this thing installed. All right, guys, so the reel is mounted. We've got all of the bolts tightened down. You can see, even with the wrench, it is a very, the 3/8 drive wrench, it is a very tight fit to get that in there. So you can see we also have about 6 inches from the reel itself out to the end here. This plugs right into the power outlet, and then we still have enough room where this stud will be the drywall this way and 3/4 inch plywood this way. And you might be saying, Sean, well, why did you mount this thing when you know you're going to do drywall still? Well, with these lag bolts, we can certainly take them out and put them back in. It's not a big deal. So we just need to mark them and measure them. And one thing you definitely want to do that we did on the other side is understand where your blocking is before you put drywall. So make sure you get a tape measure and measure from, some landmarks like the window, or measure from the ground up to where it starts and where it finishes, and take pictures of this. Keep the pictures in your phone or save them somewhere so you remember where this is. So once the drywall's up, you know exactly where to put your template and where to mark your holes that you need to drill. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you learned a lot on our blocking and mounting of appliances video. We've got it mounted. I'm going to go over here and do the other one on the drywall. It's going to be the exact same process. I do have some pictures of where I put the other one that I'll put up now. So again, key thing is once you get the blocking up and done, you need to take pictures, take measurements, remember where it is so that when you make your CAD template, you can measure off of landmarks once the drywall is up or whatever type of wall covering you're doing. We're putting this one up again because I am not exactly sure when I want to do drywall, but I know I want to have electrical and I know I want to have air accessible whether or not that happens before. It's not going to be a huge deal to remount it. You'll take the lag bolts out, you'll put the wall covering up, and just poke holes where those pre-drilled holes are. You'll put the lag bolts back in on the exact same hole, sandwich whatever wall covering you have. It is extremely hot out here, so I'm going to get back to work. And thank you so much for watching Detached Garage. If you have any questions on this, please put them down in the comments below.